Right, everyone. As for today, I would like to give a product demo for port scanner using Python script that runs over my Kali Linux machine. So as a prerequisite, I've got two machines. One is Kali Linux, the other one is Ubuntu. Another prerequisite is I will require an Nginx server to be on or MySQL, depending on your selection. So you can switch on both or you can switch on either one. And the port scanner will run through each of the ports that you choose inside your JSON file, and it will give you with the status report. So let's start with the port scanner as a finished product that we are trying to write. So it will run in the background. At the moment, it's only localhost is on. My Ubuntu machine it's still off. It's not the Nginx server is not connected, or there are no SSH connection established between the two machines. So the network scanner skip the other machine part, and let's go to here and switch on the Nginx server. Switch on the MySQL as well. Okay, and then go back to the Kali Linux, and I would like to start the Nginx over here. Service Nginx start. Ask for password. Okay. Let's try to run the network scan file one more time. Okay, there you go. So the port will scan both machines with predefined ports. We got 4 ports that we're trying to read: 22, 80, 631, and 3306. 631 is for the printer. 3306 is for, I believe, is for any kind of a MySQL database. So Ubuntu and localhost both are up. So 22 and 80 is open. Ubuntu and 22 and 80 is also open in localhost. Right, and the other function I will try to write is to save this output into a CSV file. So if we go to the folder, so the final result as a CSV, and there you go. Right, that's what we're going to do for today. Right, guys, let's start this network scanning application using Python by checking a couple of status here before we start writing the network scanner in Python. First, you have to modify your etc host file with your target machine. So I've done that already. So let's double check on our etc host. So in here we got 3 lines, three hosts, and my Ubuntu machine is in there. So you need to ensure that in place first. Okay, currently it's inactive, so we have to start that service first before we start writing the application. Use the start function, and we'll ask you for password. Okay, and double checked on the service. It's active. It's good. Okay. And let's just check that from here using the SSH while we do that. So we just activate the SSH connection to that target machine. and keep the service running. Checking on the net stat of each of the port from both machines that I've got here. So as you can see, I got like 8022 TCP method in the state of listen. So that will be read by the network scanner later on. And if I move over to my Ubuntu machine and try to run the netstat as well here, and grab it to anything that with listen state. Okay, I got a few of them here. I got 80, 22, 306, 6315, 53, 330, 3060. And if I'm, so based on the file, I hope to get 4 ports being scanned by the network scanner, right? Let's clear this. Trying to create a file called network scan, right? Forget the permission of the file. Right. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and let's try to open the file from here. Download, so I got it, portfolio, there you go. Right, so let's start writing the function in this file. First, I would like to include the magic keyword. Since we are going to run the file inside our Linux terminal, so we need this snippets of line in order for the editor to be recognized by system that it is a Python file runs through Linux. So first we need to import JSON since we are dealing with JSON file. So let's just create a first function. Let's call this let's create a function to print the header. Now let's create the second function to read JSON file. And let's call this read configuration. Okay. First, I like to create a variable with f. So this is where I'm going to store the file path. Open function, and I store the JSON file under config folder. And file name is config.json. There you go. And I would like to store whatever buffered scanner result from this file into a new variable. I will call that a data. JSON load. So you will load the JSON file and then store it inside the data variable type. So in that case, I would like to create an array of type server A, data, title of servers. So from the JSON, the column of servers, we'll split it and put it to a server A variable. And So it is still inside the function. So you need to actually call the function in order to return the data. Okay, let's create a separator here. Yes, type function and try to run it. So well, okay, and let's try to run it. All right, I forgot to initiate the file path variable here. That should fix it. Let's rerun it again. Right, there we go. So we're able to read the JSON file and print it in the terminal. So now we are able to store not only read the JSON file and also store it inside the data. So we can now reuse this variable inside other function. Okay. Right, let's moving on to a second function. Right, let's kick it off here by writing a new function. Run nmap. And we'll have server dictionary, pass on the value there. I would like to create a dictionary for both servers and ports, just what we did by reading the file. So we're gonna replicate it in this function again. Let's call it server A, server dictionary from. So let's see, from server list, let's create a variable called server list. And we will like to have a blank space and join the server A variable. And oh, sorry. Before doing that, we have to import first here for nmap. And let's see if it is still complaining. Okay, so it's all good now. Once we store the nmap port scanner into a variable called nm, so we will run a scan. And we run the second level of for loop, proto and host. Now, after we specify the host name and the state, we would like to get to their protocols as well. In order to do that, we have to run another for loop inside the for loop of each of the hosts with their state status. And then there is, I will add one of the method in nmap called all protocols. So as you can see, there's from the suggestions, we got all protocols because we want to know what protocol is scanned network is using. And I think other methods available are state, which I'm already using it here, and also in the next line as well. And then we have a method called keys, which is to return the active ports available within specified range. But we are not looking for that particular range, but we only would like to know the host name, whether the state is up or closed or down, and which protocols that they are using against each of the hosts. Right, so for the all protocols, we will continue with the for loop, all protocols. So we're entering the second for loop. Let's see, we have to put the function on the global scope, run nmap, and we put the value to be passed on inside that function. All right. I don't think we need this. Now let me just I'll just keep it as it is now and then try to run it. All right, now that we have that function in place, I just made a quick edit here. There was a like space in between for the port list for the integer type. So what I did was just delete the white space there and save the file. Let's run it. It'll take some time to iterate through both machines. All right, there you go. All right, so as you can see, we got 10.00203 and 10.0215. If I go back to the terminal and on the hand right side is my Kali Linux or the local host. And IP for that is 10.0215, so the second one. So as you can see, host Ubuntu, port 22 is open, 80 is open, 631 is filtered, 3306 is filtered. So 631 is a port type of port for printing device, and 3306 is basically for the any kind of a MySQL protocol. It's a default port used by the MySQL client, MySQL connectors, and different utilities such as MySQL dump and MySQL pump, for example. So those two are filtered. It's so thus for two ports in our local host as well. So there you go. We have the port scanner automation functions already. So both are working pretty well. Now as last function, let's write this results into a CSV file. I would like to save the result of the port scanner back to CSV format. So in order to do that, we need to import CSV library into the Visual Studio Code, and let's create a function down here. Let's call that function write. Let's create a saying something simple and easy to remember. Write CSV, and you have to pass in the data inside this function. So let's call it list of IP or IP list. So in order to do that, we have to create some sort of an array type and make it available or public in the global scope. So anything else outside the function is the global scope, and it's available throughout all the functions below it. So list is an array type, and there you go. Let's go back to the function. In order to populate the array with the value, so we have to go back to this function. That's probably here in the for loop part where we specify port status. All right. So under here, we need to append the value of this to the array, to the IP list array. Then we're able to add to the CSV file here. Okay, let's append to the IP list. Since an array type, so we can append value to it. So those values are host, port, and the state of each of the ports by using nmap and host, proto, and port dot state. So we're just basically like I think the state should be in the bracket as well. Sorry. Yeah, you just have to follow this state. Right, that looks good to me. Okay, hopefully with this line we will append the value inside the array of IP list, which later on will pass on the IP list to this function of write CSV and eventually write rows, the final list, and add it to the CSV. Okay, let's run it again one more time. Let me just stretch this up a bit. Okay, the network scanning process is done. Now, if we go back to the folder, I hope it's overwrite with the latest result. And there you go. We have it in the CSV. As I suspect earlier that the IP list array is still blank. So now we're able to fill it in with that value.